But before we get into some of these other issues, I want to speak very personally with Janelle about what you've been going through. First of all, our condolences to you. I know many people have just admired how you've handled everything these past couple of weeks, because it had to be really tough for you.
Yeah, it has. It still seems unreal. It just still feels like he's on vacation, or he's somewhere working for a couple days as he normally would, and he'll be coming home at some point. And then it's like you have your moments where you sit back and you think about everything that's going on, and it's like, it's reality that he's never walking back through those doors. You know, his kids are waking up looking lost and hurt because they just, there's so many unanswered questions, like why? Like, who would do this to him? You understand? It leaves a hole in them as well as me, you understand, because we just don't understand why him. It just doesn't make sense to us.
Now, your 4-year-old son, Lionel Jr., how has that been for him? What have you been telling him?
It's hard. It's hard because he doesn't understand. So to him, it's like, all right, I understand you say daddy's sleeping and, you know, he's with God's angels, but when is he coming back? You understand? He wakes up asking for him. He questions why there's so many people at the house, and why, you know, why does everyone cry? And he just doesn't understand death. So to him, it's just like, okay, he's supposed to come back. And it's like, what do you tell him?
What was it like for you that night? And how did you find out?
Oh, man. I was surprised to the night that everything happened. I knew he was going to perform at a local club for a friend of his, a DJ that was hosting a party. He had wanted me to go with him. I was too tired. It was already like 12:30. I'm like, you know, you just go. I'll see you when you get home. He's like, fine. You know, he was coming straight home after. He wasn't getting into anything else. About 5 o'clock, I woke up, and I'm like, okay, it's 5 o'clock. Like, I ain't hear from him. He's not home. I know the club's closed, so where is he? So I start calling him. I didn't get an answer. About 2 minutes after I called him for the third time, I get a call from his manager. Now, I thought his manager was with him. So when I got that call, I'm thinking he's calling me back from the manager's phone. I answer. His manager asked me, have I spoke to him? And I'm like, no, I'm calling him, but he's not answering. He said, I just got a call from a detective, and they say he's been shot, and he's been taken to Jamaica Hospital. And I'm like, stop playing with me. Like, don't play with me like that. And he's like, I wish I was playing with you. He said, I'm so serious. And he gave me the detective's number. I called the detective, and they said, you know, he's been shot in Queens, and we have him at Jamaica Hospital. I'm like, well, I started asking questions, you know, who he was with, where's his car, what's going on. They're like, we just need you to come down here. And when they asked me, did I drive? And I said, yeah. And he said, we suggest you come with somebody. I knew it wasn't good news. I must have got to Jamaica Hospital in probably 5 minutes. I ran every red light. I didn't stop at no stop signs. I ran into that hospital. And as soon as I got in that room, I just demanded answers, because they were like, you know, slowly telling me the story. And I'm like, what's going on? You understand? They're like, you know, they're telling me 2 male victims were in the car. One was shot and was in surgery. The other one was pronounced dead on arrival. And I'm like, well, who was it? And when they said his name, it was just like, my heart just dropped. Like, this isn't real. Like, you're kidding me. And they're like, no, he was shot multiple times in his car. And then when I found out the location, I'm like, he was 5 minutes from home. He was literally one exit away from home. Like, he was just right there. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, how did this happen? Like, you know, and still I'm demanding answers from them every day. Like, what's going on? Like, tell me something. Like, have y'all found out anything? Like, what about the cameras? Like, I've even went to the scene and did my own detective work and asking questions, and we're requesting to see these videos and these businesses that's around there, and we're pointing out different areas to them, just making sure that they're on top of every little thing, because it's like, my number one goal is I just refuse for this to be brushed under the rug as another one dead, like, in the hood, or another one, you know, another superstar gone, or another rapper gone, like, and it just get brushed off as an unsolved mystery. We've been through that already with Stack Bundles. Like, I refuse to let it happen again. And that's the hard part, that it hit us twice. Because Stack Bundles was also a part of our family. Very close family. He was the godfather of my daughter. So it's like, this can't be happening again. It's hard. It's very hard.
And we admire your courage, so close to such a devastating loss, and just having to be so strong for your kids and be a mom in the meantime, you know, while all this is going on, while you're going through it, to come on the radio, to come on Hot 97 Street Soldiers, and really talk about give people an idea of this personal impact of this violence. Now, this also came at a time like you and Chinx were on the verge of making some big life decisions. Tell us about that.
Yeah. You know, we've been together since I was 15 years old. He was 8. We were kids, you understand? So we've been through a lot. He was incarcerated for 4 years. I was there for him. That's when we decided to get married, came home, we had another child. So we started to build our family. You know, as growing up, you go through things. Every relationship does. But recently, we sat down and we started to really discuss our future. Like, we have 3 kids who we have to set examples for. You understand? They're watching everything we do. Everything that goes on in this household will affect them some way or another. So we have to get it together, you know. And he was on, for the first time in a long time, he was on the same page with me. And we started talking about different business ventures and different things we could do to include the fans more into his life. And, you know, his number one goal was to buy our first home. That's what he really was focused on, was finally buying a home. Like, and just getting his kids in a different environment. He really wanted to take them out of this.
So they didn't have to go through what he went through coming up in Far Rockaway.
Exactly. Both of us, because we both came from there. You know, we haven't had the silver spoon lifestyle. So his main goal was to just give them something way different than what we had. And it's so crazy because one of our last conversations, we were out shopping for our home, and he says to me, the only thing I want to make sure is that we don't live regular. I don't want to live regular. Like, there's too much out here to just settle for being regular. And he knew that his talent and what he had planned and how hard he was going to work for it would get him there. And that's all he cared about. And
he also had a very charismatic personality. Tell us about that. And the jokester.
Yes, he was. He swore he could dance. I'm sure many have seen the videos that are circulating that we posted on Instagram and Facebook, and that's what he loved to do. Just have fun with the people that were closest to him. And that's the thing, like, to the people that didn't know him, he was quiet, he was humble, he did what he had to do, and he kept it moving. But to the people that actually know him and spent time with him and got close to him, they know that he's a clown. Like, he jokes all day, he loves to dance, he plays around sometimes too much. Like, and those are the things that I want everybody to remember him for. You understand?
Like, remember that. What do you say to people, anybody who might know something? Because the detective said where this happened, and I was there that day, and a couple other times after that. Where it happened, coming off the highway there on Main Street, right at Queens Boulevard, it's almost like a blind spot where there's no direct cameras like they have at the intersections and the stores. And because Briarwood's kind of a nice, you know, it's a nice neighborhood in Queens, it's not like every store has a camera on the outside. It was kind of a blind spot. Mm-hmm. And then also that they're at that time of the morning, it's not like a big hangout neighborhood, so there wasn't really any eyewitnesses that were there. There was no like little grocery store that was open or anything like that. So what do you say to people that might know something that maybe could help the police get who's responsible for this? You know,
I just said something about this a couple days ago. It's like, the streets want to live by this no snitching code until it hits your family. You understand? Like, everybody wants to follow this code of the streets, and it's like, until it affects you personally, then you'll understand. Because I get it. Everybody want to mind their business. Everybody doesn't want to get involved. But as I've said, I feel like there's nobody in this world who has a secret that they haven't told somebody. You understand? Everybody has somebody they confide in, or somebody that they said something to that will lead you to know that, okay, maybe he got something to do with this. You understand? And it's like, I just wish somebody would say something. Just something.
Just to give him a break.
Yeah, because it is hard. You understand? The details of the whole situation, it does make things so complicated. I went out there myself.
I know,
and
I saw you out
scaled that whole area, and it's just like, wow. Like, they knew what they was doing.
They looked too planned. Like, that's what people were saying.
It's just unbelievable how it all happened, and it's just like, it wasn't no random act.
Exactly. This wasn't just a fight that got out of hand.
That wasn't no random act. You're not just sitting around Queens Boulevard
waiting for a Porsche to pull up.
Waiting for a target. No, that's not happening. Especially not in that area. Yeah. You got the precinct right downstairs. You got the courthouses down. You're just not doing that.
Let me just ask you this, and then I want to bring in our panel, because I know they have a lot to say on this, and can help us understand this whole scene, because there's so many different arenas where this is playing out and reverberating, because there were a lot of New York rappers that were looking at your husband as, wow, you know, he's helping to bring some attention to New York rap.
He got a lot of love and respect.
Yeah, totally. And was his feeling about the streets and the street life, the guns, the violence, the things that he had once been caught up in, as a father, had that kind of changed? Like, he dropped the drugs from his name.
Definitely. His number one goal was to never have to turn back to the streets. He lived that life. He did his 4 years in jail, and his promise was to never go back, and that's all he cared about. So he knew that his only option was to take this all the way to the top.
Was music. There was no option for failure.
Yeah, at all. And there was no option to go back into the streets and sell drugs. He wasn't having it. He didn't even want that around him, because he didn't want to get caught up in it.
Into that whole lifestyle.
At all.